How the Grinch Stole Christmas. For Teddy Almond. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just the north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps his shoes were too tight. But I think most likely the reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're having their stockings, he started with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinchy fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, Merry, merry! All the Who girls and Who boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys and then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down a feast, and a feast, 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 and a feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and wear Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then he'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bell ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and sing and sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of his Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 50 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and chuckled. What a great Grinchy trick with his coat and his hat. I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since the reindeer are scarce, there was no to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. When he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he chipped up old Max. And then the Grinch said, giddy-yap, and the sled started down toward the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All the windows were dark, quite snow-filled in the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof and emptied bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, when the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinched, are the first things to go. Then he slithered a slunk with a smile, most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present, pop guns and bicycles, roller skates and drums, checkboards and tricycles, popcorn and plums, and he stuffed them in the bags. The Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk in the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding, and he took the Who pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took the last tin of Who hash. Then stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will step up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed his tree. He started to shove when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dog. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Kindy Lou, who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and slick. He thought of it up a lie. He thought of it quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed with a Kindy Lou who went to bed with her cup. He went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. The last thing he took was the log for the fire. When he went up the chimney himself, the old liar, on walls lifting nothing but hooks and some wire, and one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who mouses. It was quite pleasant down all the Who's still a bed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with the presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, the tunnels, the trimming, the tappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the top to dump it. Pooh, pooh to the Who's. He was grinchily humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started to low and then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound was merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He started down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw, a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came somehow or other. It came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes or bags, and he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzled with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beef. The end.